All right, so today we're going to finish up graphs of sine and cosine functions, day 4, and today we're going to focus mainly on the cosine function and how to graph that. So just like we did yesterday, we're going to start with just the basic graph of cosine. And again, you could use your unit circle to come up with some values. Again, we're going to go 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2, and then we'll do some more values, but those are the ones we're going to start with anyway. And remember, the period for cosine is 2 pi. So just like we did with sine, we're going to label out here from 0 to 2 pi. Then we'll look at some values. Cosine at 0, again, according to our unit circle, is 1. At pi over 6, we have square root 3 over 2. Square root pi over 4 is square root 2 over 2. 1/2, then 0. And what happens with cosine as we go from pi over 2 to pi, we're going to get negative values, and it's going to go the exact same way. So it goes then negative 1/2, negative square root 2 over 2, negative square root 3 over 2, negative 1. So we start at 1. At pi over 2, we get to 0. At pi, we're at negative 1. At 3 pi over 2, we're going to be at 0. And at 2 pi, we're going to be at 1. So the cosine function graph looks something like this. And again, it's periodic, so it's going to continue that shape as we go left or right. And so we're going to use that idea and that graph to continue to graph other forms of the cosine function. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Example 1, we're going to graph y equals 1/2 cosine x. So the only thing that changes here, we have a different amplitude. So instead of maxing out at 1, we're going to max out at 1/2. And the minimum value is going to be negative 1/2. So it's just taking those values and basically cutting them in half. That's what our graph would look like. Same shape, just compressed a little bit, pushed in together a little bit. The next example, cosine of negative pi over 2. I'm actually going to do this one a little bit different, and I'm going to ask you to do this on your homework assignment. I'm going to start with the graph of cosine. And I'm going to actually draw it in a dashed line. And then as I do the different transformations, I want you to, we'll end with a solid graph when we're done. In this case, there's really only one transformation, and that's because cosine of negative 2x, now one of our properties from the last quiz was cosine of negative x is the same as cosine of x. So y equals cosine negative 2x is the exact same as y equals cosine of 2x. So the negative does not affect our answer because of the fact that cosine is an even function. So we're still going to have 1 as our maximum, negative 1 as our minimum, but the period is going to be changed now. The period would be 2 pi divided by 2, which means it's going to be just pi units. So we're going to finish our graph when we get to pi. So we'll actually be able to draw 2 graphs of this function. Everything moves in halfway, and then it repeats itself. So my function in blue will look like that. So I want to see the original, they're all cosine, so they're all going to be that same original graph. And then the different transformations use a different color. So if I had 1/2 cosine of 3x, I would want to see 2 graphs done with the dashed lines and then a final graph as a solid line. There's your instruction. Your homework is the day 4 worksheet, which will be handed out to you. And I will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend.